Krishna, everybody. Your Molnar's here, and Sylvan, Nanandini, Reina, Aditya, Rasamrita, and Dear Govinda. Yeah, what am I doing here? How did I get to sit here today?
Short notice, kind of spontaneous.
It's spontaneous devotion. Yeah. Stretching ourselves, stretching myself.
You've accepted a stretch.
I accepted a stretch. We know from Sattva Tov Advanced Course that stretches do us good. We know that high, that beautiful transformation that happens, the shift. It's the most beautiful thing we've all ever experienced, probably. And that last day of the advanced course, and we feel like we can, change the world and change ourselves and really connect with who we are and the people in our lives, and we leave with such, just beautiful, beautiful mood. And so why would we not accept stretches every day? So that's what I did. I accepted the stretch. And it was late in the afternoon, so I couldn't over prepare, overthink, or over plan. So let's see what comes up. All right, so yesterday I was asked to lead. I hesitated for just a moment. Then I opened the Bhagavatam where I'm reading already and landed on it's a little verse and a little purport. So it's not a whole lot to swallow, although it's a lot to swallow at the same time. But it was when I read the next verse that was in my reading, I was like, okay, because this canto has stories of oceans of milk and mountains of honey, things that I don't know a lot about, but I think in here it's something we've all read about before and heard from Srila Prabhupada. So I'll just hopefully be able to reiterate and bring to life some of his messages. Anyway, I pray that all the exalted devotees here on the altar, for the personalities, the Vaishnavas, my friends and Sattva Tov community, thank you for being here. You trust Dear Govinda. I trust Dear Govinda, and he thinks I can do it, so I can do it. So we'll start with the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskricha Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamodiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, under Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayashi Bhadrashi Nicham Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavaru Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By rendering service to the pure devotee, who is praised with transcendental songs, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. Something, I think I messed that up. That means I'm nervous.
Loving devotional service unto the Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was praised by the choices, the Vedic verses, is irrevocably established in the heart.
This will change your heart today. That's what we're guaranteeing.
That's what we're guaranteeing.
We're invoking a money back guarantee, but you're not going to need your money back, because this is life-changing Vedic wisdom, and it's guaranteed if we do this practice of reading the Bhagavatam every day, that we feel a difference and all the junk in our heart starts to dissipate. So I know that's why we're all here. Why else would we be here? Because this is a difficult path and it's an easy path. So we're here to see what resonates with us today. So I'll read the Sanskrit verse and then we'll call in response.
Laksmipriya, excuse me. Which
Oh, yeah,
verse?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Canto 5, chapter 19, text 15.
Oh.
5, 19, 15.
15?
Mhm.
Oh, I thought it was text 19.
Oh, did I tell you that yesterday?
Well, I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't, but yeah.
See what happens when I get spontaneous?
Yeah, there we go.
No, it's definitely 15.
Oh, 15, so it's with the prose, not the poetry. Same.
Well, it's poetry, yeah. Does yours have Tana Prabhu, Tvam Ukaleva?
Okay, fine. Because you mentioned it was spoken by Prahlad.
Well, that's what I said I was thinking that it was, so I'm not
Okay.
sure who's speaking it, because in this chapter,
Right.
it's a little confusing for someone new like me, because
Who's speaking
they're
what?
going back to this land of Jambuvi and describing the islands and the oceans and the
Yeah.
mountains and all of the sacred
Okay.
personalities who are Vaishnavas who are there, who are everyone's offering prayers to, like
Yeah.
Narayana Rishi. So I don't know a lot about that, so I'm not sure, but I thought it was Prahlad. Do you think it's Prahlad? Because it doesn't say specifically, but there's all the, I've been reading prayers from Prahlad Maharaj, so
Sure.
I had to make some kind of assumption because it doesn't really say who the speaker is, but we've heard from Prahlad Maharaj to Nishringadev. So let's see what happens. And the Sanskrit is just a little bit tongue twisty, but we can do it. Tana prabodvam kukale varapitam vanmayayaham mamatam adhokshaja vinyamayena shuvayam sudurbidam videhi yogam tvaina svabam iti. All right. Would you guys like to call and response? You two, I'll do it with you guys first. Tana prabhu tvam hulave parapitam.
Tana prabhu tvam hulave parapitam.
Tvanmayaya mamatam adhokshaja.
Tvanmayaya mamatam adhokshaja.
Vinyamayena shuvayam sudurbidam.
Vinyam Shivayam Suyorbidam.
Videhi yogam tvaina svabhavam iti.
Videhi Yogam Tvaina Sabam Iti.
Tana prabhutvam kukale varapitam.
Tana Prabhutvam Kukale Varpitam.
Tvamayaya mamatam adhokshajan.
Tvanmai Mamatam Madhokshaja.
Vidyamayena shuvayam sudurbidam.
Vindyamayena Shubhayam Sudorbidam.
Videhi yogam tvaina svabhavam iti.
Videhi Yogam Tvaina Svabhavam Iti. Tana Prabhutvam Kukale Vararpitam.
Tana prabhutam kukale vararpitam.
Tvanmayayaham Mamatam Madhokshaja.
Tvanmayayaham mamatam adhokshaja.
Vindyamayena Shuvayam Sudurbidam.
Vinyamayane shuvayam sudurbidam.
Videhi Yogam Tvaina Svabhavam Iti.
Videhi yogam tvaina svabhavam iti.
Tana prabhu swam kukale varapitam.
Tana Prabhutvam Kukale Vararpitam.
Svanmayayaham mamatam ahokshaja.
Tvanmayayaham mamatam adhokshaja.
Vinyamayena su vayam sudurbidam.
Vinyamayane shuvayam sudurbidam.
Videhi yugam svahavamiti.
Videhi yogam tvaina svabhavam iti. Anybody online wanna try the verse? Anadi?
Tanna Prabhutam Kukalevararpitam.
Tanna Prabhotvam Kukalevararpitam.
Tanmayayaham Mamatam Madukshaja.
Vanmaya Smayam Mamatam Madhokshaja.
Vindyamayena Shuvayam Sudurvidam.
Vinyamayena Shuvayam Sudurvidam.
Videhi Yogam Tvaina Svabhavamiti.
Videhi Yogam Tvaina Svabhavamiti.
Anyone else? Word for word. Tat. Therefore.
Therefore.
Na.
Na.
Our.
Prabhu.
Prabhu. O my Lord.
O my Lord.
Tvam.
Svam.
You.
You.
Kukalevara arpitam.
Kukalevara arpitam.
Invested in this bad body full of stool and urine.
Invested in this bad body full of stool and urine.
Tvatmayaya.
Vatmayaya.
Your illusory energy.
By your illusory energy.
Aham mamatam.
Aham mamatam.
The conception of I and my.
The conception of I and my.
Adhokshaja.
Adhokshaja.
O transcendence.
O transcendence.
Bindyama.
Vinyama.
May give up.
May give up.
Yena.
Yena.
By.
By
which. Ashu.
Ashu.
Very soon.
Very soon.
Vayam.
Vayam.
We. Sudurbidam.
Sudurbidam.
Which is very difficult to give up.
Which is very difficult to give up.
Vidhehi.
Videhi.
Please give.
Please give.
Yogam.
Yoga.
The mystic process.
The mystic process.
Svai.
Svai.
Unto you.
Unto you.
Na.
Na.
Our. Svabhavam.
Svabhavam.
Which is symptomized by a steady mind.
Which is symptomized by a steady mind.
Iti.
Iti.
Thus.
Thus.
Translation. Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving us the power to execute Bhakti Yoga so that we can control our restless minds and fix them upon you. We're all infected by your illusory energy, therefore we are very attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related to the body. Except for devotional service, there's no way to give up this attachment. Therefore, kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Purport. The Lord advises in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mad bhakto mad yaji mam namashkuru. The perfect yoga system consists of always thinking of Krishna, always engaging in devotional service, always worshiping Krishna, and always offering obeisances unto him. Unless we practice this yoga system, our illusory attachment for this bad body, which is full of stool and urine, is impossible to give up. The perfection of yoga consists of giving up attachment for this body and bodily relationships and transferring that attachment to Krishna. We're very attached to material enjoyment, but when we transfer that same attachment to Krishna, we traverse the path of liberation. One has to practice this yoga system and none other. Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashchade Shatayane Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yeah, so just spontaneous devotion all the time, always, it says 24/7. So how do we do anything 24/7? We got to set it up, and we need a captain of the boat. We need a favorable wind. We need to cross the ocean of material suffering, cross the ocean of nescience. So Prabhupada is our captain, and Krishna is our favorable wind. We read about that a few months ago. So we setting it up, and yesterday in Srimad Bhagavatam class online, we with our WhatsApp group, we talked about this, like what are the cues I can leave around my house and around my car and in my cabinets and my drawers and on my counter, like what can I do to set myself up and also not try to be so rigid that it's, perfunctory. So we've been discussing this all week, so I was glad to hear that we're going to continue this discussion. So I'm just going to share what popped off the page for me, because I didn't spend much time in this, but whatever comes up for me is what comes up. But I will say this: I opened it. This was a beautiful verse, and it's enough that I can handle, at least, or try to handle, without being stifled. Some of the verses stifle me, but this one didn't. So I was reading it and I was thinking about other Bhagavad Gita verses. So I grabbed this big, beautiful Bhagavad Gita, this one here. And it's just big and the words are big. It's nice to see for people who have old eyes. And so I opened it, and this picture was in here of Nrsimhadev and Prahlad Maharaj on 271. And I was looking for chapter 2. So that's when I said, well, this has got to be Prahlad Maharaj. He just spoke to me. And then I thought about all the times that people say, well, how do you talk to God? How do you pray? And I remember asking that question myself. How do we pray? How do we ask for without being material? So this is an example in this purport. It's like we ask for, help me be a better devotee, whatever that looks like, and we accept what we get. So I'm following the instructions. It's perfect for Dear Govinda asking me to lead class, because it says right here, we do this always 24/7. How do I become a better devotee? I want to be a better devotee. So I read some more Bhagavatam, I chant some more rounds, and then I pray for help. I'm asking for help. And this verse, Prahlad doesn't even need the help, but he's asking for help. And even if this isn't Prahlad, that's what we're supposed to do. No matter which exalted devotee is saying this prayer, it's asking for help, when even a pure devotee asks for help. And I'm nowhere near that. So I'm praying to ask for help to guide me and help control this restless mind and help me be a devotee. And I don't know everything. So then when I pray, watching my words and my language, I sometimes say, well, Krishna lives in my heart. Super Soul is there listening, witnessing everything. Do I need to say it out loud because he already knows, or I wouldn't be here right now, right? So, and then it's like, to me, when I'm in that question, it feels like my parents used to say, well, we love you. But they never said it, and they didn't really act like it so much, but I hope they did. But that feels, and I had a friend come over the other day, and she did a withhold with me, and we were having an honest conversation, and I thought she knew something and I didn't tell her. And so clearing, having the Savatov skills and the open heart from all the devotional service, and having guides like Srila Prabhupada and Prahlad Maharaj and Dear Govinda Mali and the whole community, to go, well, what do we do when they're not saying it, but they're claiming I'm claiming I'm her friend, right? But I'm not saying it. So to say the prayers out loud, to speak it, to find the words, to practice until the words come more naturally. That's been my experience. So when things come more naturally, or when I open my Bhagavad Gita and there's this is just a card. I don't remember how it landed here, but it's I have a stack of these, and it was in the verse that I was going to. So I look at that as, I'm not making this up just to impress you guys, like it really happened. So then my heart just opened with joy, and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, 24/7. Let's do it. How bad can it be? So normally I have a nice meditation before I start preparing for class. I was in Gainesville all day yesterday, so I got home, and it's from 5, whatever, I get up at 4, and it's like almost 4 at the time I'd agreed to do it. So I was already kind of exhausted. So that's not normally my preparation process. But I was like, oh, Krishna's speaking to me, Prahlad's speaking to me, go ahead. So the encouragement, and then it's like, well, am I going to oblige, or am I going to have my own stubborn self do what I want to do, so that I stay in my comfort zone and I don't stretch myself? Because that's not going to take me where I want to go. Or maybe I don't want to go there if I keep saying no, right? So here's some stuff that came up for me in Bhagavad Gita and in this purport. So aham mamatam, is that how you say it? Aham mamatam. Hamamatam. So sometimes I'm reading the Sanskrit word for word, and piece of Sanskrit jumps off the page, and I need to go read some more about it. And that happened with this. So this I, me, mine, we've been talking about this week. That's what that is. It's a concept that I own my car. This is my body and my hair and my fingernails and my house and my clothes and my cooking skills. My this is my Bhagavatam, right? And so that ownership, and not giving Krishna the credit for ownership and making it all about me instead of making my life about service to something higher. And for me, that's Krishna. So that concept that I'm this body, which is basic Bhagavad Gita 101, we're not this body. And if we can get that, it's like the ultimate thing, but we're in this illusion. So I was asking myself, like, how do we get stuck here so much? Like, I can relate to the bag of bones and pus and all that, and blood and stool. I can see that when my spirit leaves this body, or any living beings does, that it crumbles back to dust. So why do we get so hooked on it? So that was my contemplation yesterday, is like, what is that about, that I need to own everything and I need to possess it, and not honor the rightful owner and creator of it? Who, I mean, yesterday it was raining, cats and dogs out at Prabhupada's house, just pouring on the roof and pouring, and just water running everywhere. And I went out to look at it and feel it and hear it and be grateful for it, because we have a new garden. And because I can't water the plants like the rain can. The rain is coming from grace of Krishna. And so is everything else, even the seed that planted those cantaloupes and watermelons. Even my energy and idea to go out there and feel it on my body is Krishna, and it's not mine. None of it's mine. If I dedicate my energy to cultivate the garden and water the garden, and do service the best I can be in service at Prabhupada's house, then maybe the rains will come when Krishna see fit. So yesterday it was it was just part of the process of me sitting with this when it started raining, and walking outside, and thanking Krishna for the rain, and praying for the garden, and knowing that I can give fruits and vegetables to our community and cook with them and use them in service. So there's no body, human body, that can create rain. There's no master scientist. There's no even master philosopher that can figure out how and when and where. There's weather predictions every day that are wrong, because I watch them because of the garden, and they're never right. So we get what we deserve, and Kali Yuga is going to be kind of dry, I think. So when it rains, I'm excited. So all the possessions, my reputation, everything, I think it's me, but it's not me. So that's the one thing. So aham mamatam, I didn't know this phrase, but now I do. So that's the focus here. That's where we have to start, is I'm not this body. So we read the whole Bhagavad Gita multiple times, take the classes, and I still go around thinking I'm the body, and that I can control and own things all around me, including my body. So that accomplishes my ideas, everything. It's my mind. Using the word my, I catch myself so much so that when I hear other people say my and mine, it sounds funny now, because we're just passing through, and it's such a short pass through. If you zoom out and look at the big picture, it's such a quick little trip we're making here around this planet. So it's not even worth trying to own it. And then I drive by for sale signs and things that indicate that people do think we own it, and we sell it, and then it's going to go to the next person, and everything crumbles in time. So it's around us everywhere, the process of being young, and then aging, and then disease, and then death. It's going on with every plant in my yard, every animal in my neighborhood, and every people in my neighborhood. And so it's like, it's so visible on social media, on signs going down the highway. It's all temporary, but we get so caught up in it. So just questioning ourselves, like, what is that about? How come I can't see that this is just flesh? And then there's the whole subject of prioritizing whose flesh is better. So I'm not going to go into that today. Anyway, so I went to Bhagavad Gita 271, and there's a bunch of juicy stuff in here. So I'm just going to read a little bit of the purport for 271. To become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desirelessness. to understand one's actual position as the eternal servitor of Krishna without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself and without falsely claiming proprietorship over anything in this world is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. And then further down, Prabhupada says, Arjuna, he fought because Krishna wanted him to fight. So that's our how do I know what Krishna wants me to do? Because I have a stack of Bhagavad Gitas and there's a card in there with Prahlad's picture on the front when I go to study the class. So I know that I'm supposed to be here. And I guess dear Govinda somehow knew too, because he asked me to yesterday afternoon. So Arjuna didn't have any desire to fight, but he did it for Krishna. And then it says here in the purport, he did it to the best of his ability. He didn't do it perfectly. He followed his duty and he did it to the best. And so that's what I'm doing here, my best of my ability. So I'm not supposed to claim proprietorship over anything. I'm just supposed to be a devotee. It says it in the second chapter, so it's not even far in that Prabhupada starts with, we're not this body. And I like that phrase of doing it because Krishna wants me to, because we have volumes of instructions about what Krishna wants us to do. And we have mentors and we have teachers and we have an altar full of people who have written songs and poems and stories and pastimes and lived their life according to, so that I know what Krishna wants me to do because I trust them, because they're in the parampara and they've told us what to do. So I already know what to do and I want to do it to the best of my ability, not wait till I'm ready or till I'm good at it. So like I was saying earlier, even a pure devotee does this. So it's this kindly help me that's in the verse and purport. Kindly help me, Krishna. Like that's a great place. If we don't say anything else in our prayer, it could be just kindly help me, Krishna. Be dependent on his mercy, because sometimes I think it's just my own strength. Like I have to figure this out and I'm going to need help figuring this out. But I'm such a solo person, independent person, that I've cultivated my own way and this sort of separatedness from Krishna that I'm having to now undo and go, how do I be in a group of people and not have to have it my way? Because, I didn't get married, I didn't have children. I'm very, independent, and that's all I could do because of the mind and body that I was given, and my karma. That's where I'm at. So it's not about my own strength here. It's not about what I'm going to come up with to say today in class or share. It's bigger than that. So I'm just channeling Krishna and Prabhupada right now, and there isn't any other way. That's the way it is. And it says in the purport, there is no other system. This is the system. So we're here on the screen and in person because we think this might be the system. We believe this is the system, or at least we're interested in knowing, is this the system, and giving it a try. And so that the verse that comes up when I think about no other way is Harinama Harinama Eva Kevalam Nasteva Nasteva Katir Anyata. Like chant it 24/7. There is no other way. Just chant. Keep chanting. So I had a devotee drop by my house the other day, my house, Prabhupada's house, and say, the one that was doing the withhold me. She said, I'm not really chanting anymore. I'm just stepping back from Krishna consciousness. And I said, okay. So she wasn't feeling like it. Yeah. And I said, well, what, we had a conversation about why I keep doing it and why she's not interested in doing it. It was a rich conversation. And I just keep doing it, and she doesn't feel like doing it. So I was like, well, you be where you are, I'll be where I'm at, but tell me more about what's going on for you. So as we talked and we did the withhold thing and we had a conversation, it was about 2 hours. She called me when she got home and said, I just chanted around, I got my beads back out. So then I go, well, Prabhupada guided me in that, how to support her, how to listen to her, how to hold space for her, and to not force her into anything if it's not her process right now. But according to Prabhupada in this purport and that verse, there is no other way. And so for me, that's the way. And so that's what I'm doing, and I'm trusting, and I'm seeing that I get the strength to practice bhakti from the chanting, right? From praying, and from my mind is less restless when I'm chanting or practicing bhakti than any other thing I do. There's certainly nothing else I can think of that calms my mind or makes me less restless than bhakti classes, being here chanting. And then little by little, I'm less attached to this body and the material possessive things. So there is a difference. It's a slight, but it's a difference. So Arjuna, and also in chapter 2, he's confused about his duty. He didn't know what to do. So he went to Krishna and he said, I've lost all composure, weakness. I don't know. And he says, I'm going to ask you to tell me what to do. So I'm seeing this parallel between Arjuna and Prahlad Maharaj. Somebody that knows more than me has to tell me what to do. That's also chapter 434. Like, go to someone who knows more, who's seen the truth, ask them, surrender to them, be subservient to them, serve them, and follow their lead, because who are we to know what to do? We've tried all the material stuff in circles and circles of stuff, trying to find, it's already all been chewed up, and we just keep on going. So I was liking the parallel between Arjuna and Prahlad, going, yeah, they're demonstrating to us. What do? We go to somebody who knows and we ask. And we don't just think it in our heart, in our mind. Go ahead and physically say the prayer. Please help me. Kindly bestow upon me this benediction, the benediction of how to be a better devotee. So that's easy, right? Every single act of God conscious that we do, whether it's making prasadam cookies or spending a couple hours with a friend in need to discuss their spiritual path, whether it's driving up here at 4 a.m. in the dark, whether it's teaching an art class and trying to cultivate the art class to be more into Krishna consciousness, like all the things that we know how to do because of our psychophysical nature, curb those and center them on something that's devotional, every single act, so that the destination of everything we do is to become more God conscious. This is like the theme that I'm going with today. So, and then the whole part of this purport that is heavy for me, but it's like we got to start now. So we get to start now, not later, not in the next lifetime. Dear Govinda spoke about this on Sunday morning, reading from Canto 3. It's like, this isn't something we're going to think about and mull over unless we just want to take a lot more lifetimes and not respect what Prabhupada's given us. When I look at that altar this morning and see all those personalities who sacrificed, and then this morning I was listening to a kirtan on the way here that was just ecstatic, and I felt their surrender. I felt like they just dropped everything and did what Prabhupada asked them to do. And if they hadn't, I would be sitting here today. God knows what would I be doing this morning instead. Probably still working and earning money and running a business and thinking that was hot stuff. So I was really feeling the kirtan and really going back into that room of people who were singing that very loud, ecstatic kirtan, and being with them and moving my body and singing along and thinking, they really let it all go. They just walked out the door, dropped everything, gave it all to Prabhupada, surrendered. And so liberation for them just began right then. 1, 2, 3, just that minute that we've been talking about. We can do it 1 minute, but it's also a gradual process for those of us who, that was a different time, and that Prabhupada was a strong influence on those young people. And now there's some of them are still here, they're older and they're practicing, and they built all the temples and organized the whole system so that we, coming along 50, 60 years later, could go, oh, what's this about? I want to do this too. And so we're stepping into it. Me, late in my 50s, only understood that I needed something like this in my 50s, so I wasted a lot of time. So looking at the urgency of not waiting, like I could plan to teach class in July, and dear Govinda's got a busy schedule, so do I. It might even not happen because he's leaving for Austin, or maybe it will be August, and I would have maybe a month or two, 60 days of my precious life in this older age that I am to contemplate leading a class on Bhagavatam, or I could just go and do my best and serve Krishna like Arjuna did on the battlefield. I want to please Krishna, so I'm going to go out and do my duty, to the best of my ability. You're seeing the best of my ability with spontaneous notice. So the option is to wait anxiously and over prepare and think too much. And that's what this verse is saying. Help me with that restless mind, right? He's praying, bestow this benediction on me. I want to be a better devotee, and I need help. So constantly going back to those words, and that's what I'm also meditating on when I'm chanting my mantra. So the anxiousness of waiting till later. It's like dear Govinda given us, oh, those of you who don't want to do your stretch today, you'll have the option of doing it next week. We'll come back here, we'll do it next week. And those of you who are really uncomfortable, you don't have to do it. You know, you could walk out the door. I'm sure some people have from time to time. I haven't witnessed that. So I think there's a lot of energy to want to grow and stretch ourselves. And we're doing it for, even if they don't know, or we don't know it's for Krishna, we're doing it for dear Govinda, who is a servant of the servant of the servant. So we stretch ourselves and we don't wait and over plan and get all scared. And that, you know, the nice and praise, just do it. Just do it. Just make a mess of it, but do it. I only started teaching Bhagavad Gita classes a year ago and with dear Govinda, but almost 3 years ago in the morning program, I started with a little group of friends who I felt more comfortable with. And now it's just so comfortable, I don't even think about it. And so doing it here with the Zoom and strangers, I don't know everybody and I don't know who's doing what, and I get nervous. Yeah, but I'm not as in my head now or anxious now as I was a year ago. And I know next year. So we stretch and we keep moving into with it, as long as it's aligned with the service that we're that that we find strength in, because cooking is my strength and teaching is one of my strengths and artistic expression is one of my strengths. So organizing events is one of my strengths. So if I'm out of my lane and I'm trying to, lead a Sappho course or do immense amount of growing and farming like you do, like those are not my strengths. I'm learning to grow things right now I have a mentor, and she's helping me, but it will never be my main thing because it's just not there. So practicing bhakti is meant to start now. And so sometimes when I'm teaching yoga class, I'll say, we're practicing tree, or we're practicing Matsundrasa, we're practicing, we're not comparing ourselves to the person on the mat next to us. We're just where we're at today, and our body is feeling what it feels today. Experience that, be with it, do your best, and practice yoga. And it's not really about the actual yoga. It's the calmness and that essence that fills the room when everybody finally exhales and comes together in community. And they got off the couch and drove over to the church to do it, to be with us. And so there's a shift in energy from we have an hour and a half class. By the end, the people, just like Sabato, don't look or act the same. They're more genuine, more soft. So nobody's in there trying to get muscles or lose weight, because it's a bunch of us older ladies, but we are together and we have good conversation and we listen and we practice yoga, asana yoga. And I'm practicing bhakti yoga. I've chosen and committed to practicing bhakti yoga. So I don't need to be perfect at bhakti yoga or perfect at asana yoga. And I'm not your typical bhakti person. I'm not your typical yoga teacher. And so, but in my heart, there's the desire. And Prabhupada, it keeps giving me opportunity to shine in those areas and to step up. I'm not going out and clamoring for it. It's just showing up. So I'm like Arjuna on the battlefield. I want to serve Krishna and I want to do my best. Personally, I may not want to do all the things on a Thursday night at 6 o'clock. I may not want to go over to the church and do yoga because I've had a long day or something, or other things going on, or a house full of people, or dinner to prepare, and all the things. So but I have a duty, I have an obligation, I have a service, and it's not material. It's free. So it's not about the money. It's not about any kind of fame. It's just a natural inclination, following it and going, how will I serve Krishna this next hour and a half? Let me offer this class to you. What in my heart needs to be shared with this group so that there's purpose in this gathering. So I'm reminded of the hoof print example. Like there's this big ocean, and there's a whole bunch of yoga poses too. There's pages and pages of them. And so can I do all those? No. My body does, maybe 50 of them. And so I'll focus on those 50 that I can do. And I can do those a lot better than I used to. So I'm going to, and everything's like that. When I first started cooking, I was using garlic and onions and mushrooms, and I was cooking Western American style, And so did I know how to do it? And I was nervous and people were coming over and I didn't know. I don't know how to cook Indian food, da da da. And so we can just start cooking something. Take one recipe, simplify it, keep going, and find out where the stride is, whether it's in bhakti cooking or yoga, whatever. So the calf print only holds a little puddle of water. So if we look at this big, massive ocean of nescience, ocean of material suffering, and I'm reminded of like when I first started taking self-help courses before I met Dear Govinda at Savatov, I could feel this mountain in my body. Like it felt like a massive mountain, like the biggest one, a Himalayan, huge mountain peak. And I was at the very bottom and I couldn't even see the top of it. And to take on my goal is to go to the top, but I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I'm going to start somewhere. And I remember the day I woke up and said that, and I caught something, then got started on some progress of personal growth. And yeah, I remember it feeling like too big. Like, how am I ever gonna scrape all this gunk off, all the junk I've done and said and been, and the ways I'd acted and behaved, the choices I'd made? It was so much heaviness and negative that it felt ingrained in me so deeply that it was a mountain that just couldn't be moved. And I remember thinking that to myself, like, I don't think I have enough lifetime yet to even get on the first little pathway of this mountain. And how do I was doing therapy with a lady in Gatesville, and she said, well, I don't really know. She didn't like that mountain analogy because it was just this stubborn big thing in front of me that was too big to move. And I didn't know about God or Krishna, so I didn't think about Govardhan Hill, and I didn't know all that. So she said, why don't we think about it as a flower unfolding and just or an onion peeling off the layer? So she brought it down to a more gentle analogy, and we were just going to peel one little thing at a time, and then it got started enough to get my heart open enough to take my first Savatov course. But if the ocean is shrunken down to taking shelter from Krishna, you just hop right over the hoof print. It's a little bitty pond that's not even a foot. It's a little calf's print. It's a little tiny little puddle, and so you just step over it. We don't need to, try to swim and float and look over there and go, oh my gosh, there's no land as far as I can see. I might as well drown now. That's how I felt. So this verse brought that back up for me. So how do I transfer my attachments? All those attachments that I have and had, they were way worse. How do I transfer them to Krishna? I don't know how. Like I think about all the things that are on the property where Anasuya and I are creating Prabhupada's house and our new endeavor across the street from Prabhupada houses. Okay, I can create situations that are about me or Anasuya or profit or community, or I can create things that serve Krishna. So I had this vision the other day when I was chanting here on Sunday about there's this big shed in the back. It's like 1,800 square foot, just empty building. And I'm like, so many things. I haven't been thinking about it because it's just sitting over there for now. And I went ahead and just something dropped in, and I entertained the thought of it could be so many things. And so ideas were going, okay, dropping on, well, what if we had all the Krishna books in there and beads and bead bags, and then we served prasadam, and like we just put a sign at the end of the street, pop up Krishna day, or come visit, pop up Krishna store, and then people would just turn off the highway, and one day a month in Melrose they have the whole town comes out, so it would be perfect on that day, and they just come in and we serve prasadam. We have some couches, people can sit and talk, and we have these books and bead bags and things that people are interested in, incense, and they already know us, so they just feel like another thing those ladies do over there, and that would be serving Krishna. Versus, let's say, if we put in a weightlifting um, class, or I don't know what you could do. A lot of things back there. The guy before had his trucks being repaired back there, building engines for trucks. So the social media that I do is it's unpredictable, and it's just me. And so I know that everything I post needs to have some relationship to Krishna. So when I have my ideas and my notions and my inspirations, and I hear a beat that I like, and I take it, and Kim taught me how to make music with the words from the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam, how to use AI for that. So I've been making like hundreds of little songs and using them in social media, and it's getting Prabhupada's name out there. It's getting Hare Krishna mantra out there. I'm reading the verse and deciphering in order to put it into lyrics. So last night after I read for an hour or so and made my little cards, I went upstairs to go to bed, and I mean, not to bed, but to shut down away from the rest of the house. And I picked up my computer and I said, well, let's do this one. Let's put it in there. And I have like 3 songs about this verse and purport. And so pulling out what resonates with my heart, and knowing that I'm not wasting time. I'm winding down before bedtime so that I'm rested today. But I'm taking that time to connect to Prabhupada's words, to Prahlad's words, to how does this apply in my life, and where is it really touching me? And it doesn't have to rhyme, because nobody, I'm not like out selling this music or anything. It's just for me and for my social media. So, and it's not about followers. It's not about building a business online. It's just about, if I don't express this stuff, it gets stuck inside, and it kind of lightly evaporates because I'm not grounding in it, because it's new to me. And so it's a way to spend 3 or 4 hours with a verse. What, I don't know what I could have done better with that time either. And so, and then there's something tangible that I don't know, and I'm not attached to who hears it, who sees it, who likes it, who wants it, who agrees with what I'm doing. I've definitely gotten past that. And that was a stretch I started a year ago too, is I knew all this artistic creations inside of me, and I knew I needed to use it for Krishna. I wanted to, but I didn't really know how. So I started doing the Bhagavad Gita art class a few years ago, and then I started going. I made a pact with Dear Govinda and Anasuya. I'm going to post X number of times a week from now on and start expressing what's going on, because all these verses and all of the pranams and the bhajans and the classes, it's just a lot of things, and it's all new to me. So how do I culminate it all so that it sticks to my heart? It's like going back to what this says: always, always, always practice Krishna consciousness, stick with Krishna 24/7. And so those are ways that I do it. If I take an hour to stop cleaning the house, stop cooking the food, and stop holding space for the guests or gardening, then I can sit for a minute, and I need that time because sometimes I don't sit all day long, is and read a verse and play with it as a tune. And so it's changed and shifted my interest in social media even more, even though it's not really for any purpose except to serve Krishna. So I'm thinking about, I do the same thing by going to the gym. I go to the gym sometimes and I just need to let out the energy. I have Prabhupada in my ear from the minute I leave the house all the way 40 minutes to the gym. And I stay at the gym a couple of hours and I do everything: the cold plunge, the steam, sauna, the whole machines, vibrations, weights. I take a class. I just stay there and just sweat it out to Prabhupada, or a podcast. There's lots of podcasts now. And then I'm filled up. When I go home, I've got an immense amount of energy. And so I'm taking that action, even though it could be seen as a material action. It doesn't feel like it, because when do we have 2-3 hours to listen directly without interruption? Nobody's with me or talking to me, so I'm in my world. And so I was in the steam room yesterday listening to a podcast, or listening to it was actually a lecture I called, and there was another lady in there, and she was sitting by herself, so I just engaged her, and I said, I just told her what I was listening to. She's like, she goes, I do that too. I'm in here. She goes, I'm listening to my church I said, well, she goes, isn't this a great place to do it? It's quiet in here. Nobody's bothering us. Nobody really talks in there. It's just a bunch of steam. So she said, I didn't know anybody else did that. I said, well, what are you reading? She said, what are you reading? And so, see, it just happens like that because it's purposeful service. The connection just comes because it's the one in front of the zeros, which we talk about constantly in morning program. Like, everybody wants to drop the one and get on with the zeros. So that there's a lot of socializing and people doing TikToks and all kind of stuff at the gym, but who's praising God at the gym or in the metal shed or in the yard at Prabhupada's house? So it's like, it's a choice of what we put in our thoughts, our heart, our ears. So that's how you traverse the path of liberation. You start now. You don't wait till you're ready. You don't wait till you graduate or retire. You don't wait till somebody does this or that, or the house is paid off, or whatever it is that's holding people back until I feel strong enough, until I feel articulate enough, because I'm not articulate. I'm wordy and I ramble, and I know that. And so, but I have so many vibrations of these scriptures in me, and they resonate. Like I can feel my devotional heart knows already that this is where I'm supposed to be. I have to follow that. I get to follow that. And so it's not, even though a lot of this is new, first time I've read this, this fifth canto, and it's bizarre, is it's new, but that familiarity sinks in, and every day surprises me and alarms me and loves me and settles me down. And I don't know any other way to do it anymore. Um, Somebody asked me the other day, a devotee, if I wanted to read this book that they were reading that they were finding very exciting, but it was just a regular fiction novel type thing. And I said, well, are you connecting it to scripture? Are you able to? And he said, yeah, I'm connecting it to scripture. And he said, but it just feels really good to, I get lost in it. And I said, well, I don't know if I have time for that. I've heard about that book. I even had the book. Somebody had given it to me years ago, and I still had it. And when we moved into Prabhupada's, there was another copy of that book in the house. And I saved it because it's a Florida kind of history thing. And I said, I know it's a valuable book in this community. Everybody likes it, but I said, I don't think I have time to do it. But I'll consider it if you say it connects deeply. And I said, sometimes it would be nice just to listen without it being scripture so much. I said that I can see how there's a time where I'm exhausted or whatever, and I don't want to make social media, I don't want to cook, and I don't want to clean. I just want to sit on the porch swing for a minute, and maybe I've done all my rounds, and I just want something that feels a little bit like a human activity. And I said that I could listen to that book then, but that still doesn't feel right. So Krishna spoke to me again. Like it was an hour conversation with the devotee on the phone. And I knew I had the book, and I considered it for a moment, but it didn't really feel aligned. And then I got in the car about an hour later, and just one of those Krishna miracles. My podcast there's a podcast app on the iPhone that just has all the podcasts of the world, right? I don't listen there. I listen on YouTube because I have a subscription. There's no commercials, and I can organize my playlist by the moods that I'm in for cooking or driving or being outside. Some are easy to listen to when you're multitasking, and some want to be more sitting down. So it wasn't that. It was a whole nother app popped on my phone, started reading the Mahabharata. Sound effects, the whole thing. So I listened to the first 2 chapters as I was driving to Gainesville the other day. And I was like, this is entertaining. And it's giving me backstory to Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. And these names, some of them are familiar, and it's a little more easy to like have it's less structured as, say, listening to a Bhagavatam class or a whatever. Some swamis talk about this or interview somebody. So I was like, okay, there's the decision been made for me. I was about to put one toe into some dangerous territory, even though my heart was going, don't do it. But I was just like, oh yeah, see, you can find everything in Krishna consciousness. So we're traversing this path of liberation. So I was reading about what does traverse mean. Like, I think I know what that means, but I looked it up. So to cross over something, to travel through something, to journey along, not arriving in just one day, boom, but traverse over it. That's what we're doing. Not wait until my next lifetime, not wait until I'm ready, but to start crossing and using and being on the path, the journey. The journey is the destination, and be on the journey right now, on the journey, wherever that is, right? So I could get stuck overthinking and deciding when to start and where to start, or I could just allow myself to be in the process. So to me, that's what the traversing Prabhupada is talking about here in the verse, traverse the path of liberation, to practice the yoga system and nothing else. So that implies movement. It implies action. We talk so much about this in Dear Govinda's class and our morning classes lately. Action. Take some action. So set up some cues, even if it's imperfect. Cues everywhere. Support cues. Accountability groups. classes, sign up for this, sign up for that, put it on the calendar. Don't get too mundane about it because it can get some devotees I know have so much and it seems like, whoa, there has to be some time to like feel this stuff and to live it and express it. But there's so many ways to express it. I mean, look at the Kuli Mela this weekend. There's all devotees offering all kinds of classes and workshops of things they specialize in and all for Krishna. So I'm sticking with this word traverse and letting that allow me to kind of move through the bhakti process, as Dear Govinda was sharing, step by step. It's a gradual process, he said. And then Prabhupada says, oh, but it could be 1 minute. Could be. If we know anybody that can do it in 1 minute, that'd be awesome. But we're in Kali Yuga and we're here today and we're not in the 1 minute process. We're in the gradual traversing process. So this week when we were meeting in the mornings, we were talking about what is the pattern about? Why do we want to ditch the bhakti first? So if I've got all these bhakti things lined up, I'm going to do some reading, I'm going to lead a class, I'm going to chant my rounds, I'm going to offer my food, I'm going to take a walk and do another japa walk, I'm going to speak to a devotee, hold space for a devotee, cook some prasadam for devotees, make some cookies, distribute them, like, and then somebody says, let's go to the springs, or somebody says, oh, there's a movie or whatever. Or we had an example in our morning class this week. It's like when a disruption comes in someone's schedule, the first thing they let go is, I can't come to class. And like, we come to class, and then, you know, Martin Luther, like, you're going to need to come to class to get that other stuff done. And it makes sense. Like, if we go do all that other stuff at the end of the day, it's not going to feel right. It's not going to gel. So, but I watch it, I observe this all the time with myself, with other devotees, with non-devotees. I don't, my little church that I go to, that's next to me, that I teach yoga at, and I work over there part-time, they have only 58 members, and I count like 30 something cars on a Sunday. And I when I see those other people, and I didn't see them on Sunday, they say, oh, I had this, you know, this thing, and they only do the once a week. That's only for an hour a week, and they can't squeeze it in. And so it gets to be like, this concept is, to me, like the most tangible part of what we learn is like, do this first. Because maybe I don't even want to do that other stuff or need those friends or that activity. But the action of devotion, so that we don't chop the devotion part out and drop it like a hot potato, because it requires focus and presence and showing up.
Realize acts of devotion as the big rocks in
Yeah.
first.
Yeah, exactly. In the jar. Yeah. Yeah. That's heavy. So attachment, this is what came to me. Attachment is not the enemy. It's not the enemy. Attachment is what we're attached to. Krishna wants us to be attached to him. Prabhupada wants us to be attached to Krishna and to him. And I want to be attached, but instead I get attached to all the other stuff. So it's not about getting rid of this attachment desire. That I think that's a natural born propensity that we have. So if we know we're gonna serve, so we just, what do we serve? Choose A, B, C, D ad nauseum. Like, what are you gonna serve? Set some priorities, organize your life. Like I said earlier, set up some cues so that I'm not becoming attached to a book that might have a few connections in it for me. Who knows? It could change my life. I don't know, but it's a slippery slope. So I'm not going to go near the slope.
Yeah.
The same energy that gets us stuck to the book or the gym or the car or the boyfriend or the whatever we're attached to, is the same energy that we redirect. So we know our personal propensities and attractions. So just redirect. And it's a higher taste thing, but it's subtle because it's like I have to catch myself when I have this desire sometimes to just sit still, because I haven't gotten to do that much in my life. I was a busybody, and I'm still a busybody. And so sometimes, even though I can sit and list all the millions of things that I accomplish every day, they're so second nature, and I've been doing for so long it never feels like enough. You know, there's always something to do at Prabhupada's house, and there are always some people to support, and all of that qualifies as service, but the stuff that's binding needs to be kind of exercised out of the list, so that I'm making sure that I'm constantly readjusting my attachment. My service propensity needs to be towards Krishna, not things that push me away or pull me away. Even if it's a gentle little snag, there's so much of it, and there's going to be, because here we are in this world the way it is now. It's going to be like that. So the same energy that I used to teach art or yoga or cooking classes, I just used to teach Krishna consciousness. I had a bunch of ladies out the other day because I teach yoga also over in Union County, and I just did a 4-H kids camp in Union County with yoga and teaching, and then I teach yoga at this other studio in Union County. It's a little tiny county down the road. And one lady in my yoga class brought her whole Sunday school class to my house, to Prabhupada's house. See, I own Prabhupada's house. I think I do. I live there, and it's a world of its own. And so they came for 2 hours. We scheduled a 2-hour tour and meeting and explanation of what we do there, and had prasadam and did some art, and we sang hymns on the front porch because they don't know our hymns, but they know hymns, and they sang them. And I'm always just pleased that they don't hesitate when I say that's what we're doing next. They just file outside in their bare feet. These ladies are a little older, so they're not even used to being bare feet. They file outside, and I say, "What's your favorite hymn?" And we start singing, and the whole neighborhood can hear. So we sang "Amazing Grace" and "Just as I Am" the other day on Thursday, a week ago. Engaging in service, for them it's Jesus, but they know about Hare Krishna now. I mean, they sat with Prabhupada, so we bless the food with our prayers, and we bless the food with their prayers. So jump in with whatever we have. Just take a leap and create a path of loving service for whatever that looks like for us. Okay, I think I'll stop there. If there's anything else, let me look and see if there's any magnanimous things that I make some wild notes. The soul isn't understood by studying my body. And I just look at so much going on out there that's about the body. It almost seems like on social media, the less clothes people wear and the more they show their body, that's how we get attention now. So it's totally about the body. So whatever people are doing, selling, singing, producing, if it's not Krishna consciousness, and sometimes even in Krishna conscious posts, it's exposure of the body so that you stop and look at me for a while, right? Like, so I'm just captivated with how low we've become, how the standards are so shallow to what it takes to get somebody's attention is the body, not necessarily words or books or food. It's like everybody's just revealing their body parts and doing things to their body parts. So it's kind of like a crazy way that it's going. Yeah, this is my last quote. I'm not that body. I'm not the body. This is the most tangible truth. Like, it's a tangible thing. I'm not the body, and I can see death in the roadkill and the things in our yard, the funerals that I've been to, the deaths that I've witnessed, and I'm not the body. This is the most tangible truth. That's where I'm stopping. Hare Krishna. Thank you for listening to some spontaneous, loving devotion. And I hope that something I said resonates or feels a little bit like Krishna consciousness in some way, and maybe affects a deeper level of asking for help, encouragement to stop waiting for whatever we're waiting anxiously for. I'll read the translation one more time. Therefore, O Lord, O Transcendence, kindly help us by giving us the power to execute bhakti yoga so that we can control the restless minds and fix them upon you. We're all infected by your illusory energy. Therefore, we're attached to the body, which is full of stool and urine, and to anything related to the body. Except for devotional service, there's no way to give up this attachment. Therefore kindly bestow upon us this benediction. Haribol, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. That was a lot. Hope I didn't talk too fast. I could probably go another hour like we always feel at the end of class. There's just so much in one little purport and verse. If we just had this little piece and I just had this on a card and carried it with me, I could just focus and study that the rest of this lifetime and still never feel like I wrapped my head around the whole thing. It's hard to know where to go with these classes. So much in there I didn't even speak about. I'm open to hearing from you guys where you're at from hearing this verse and purport. Kim?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kim.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. It's really nice to see you.
I love the class. It was so encouraging for bringing bhakti into every moment of my life, or the encouragement to bring it in every moment of my life. And I loved your ideas about the prompts everywhere, and just everything you said is just 100% bringing bhakti in. And yesterday somebody sent me a quote saying how the Srimad Bhagavatam, the definition of religion is that which you can develop your devotional love for the Supreme Personality. That's the definition of religion. And it's so important to me that, because like being brought up in a very religious household and being told all the time that I must learn to love God, but really no information on how I was to get there. I really didn't know how. And as soon as I started hearing Srila Prabhupada's books of every kind, purports of every one of them, I started to see, no, there is a system. There is a way to do this. It is possible. It didn't even seem possible before that, you know? And your whole talk was just about that. And I still feel like a million miles from it, but at least now I know it's possible. I know there's a system. And if I follow it, I can get there. So I don't know that, this whole practice to me is just, it's a lifesaver. So anyway, I enjoyed your class very much, and I appreciated all of the encouragement you had in how to do this, the reminders of how to do it. So thank you very much. Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, well, what I'm witnessing just hearing you, Kim, is like I was at Kim's house for a few days last week, learning this new music program. And what I witnessed there, Kim, is you do have prompts everywhere and you do have a steady practice. So what's coming up for me hearing your sharing is like we always think we could do more because we can do more. And so we grow that practice and it expands. The more we do, the more we want to do, the more we serve, the more we want to serve, and the more that other stuff, like just what this verse is saying, the attachment to those things are no longer, it doesn't feel attractive anymore. So everywhere I looked in your home, there was beautiful books and deities and photos and incense and altars in multiple places. And that's all we talked about. And everything we endeavored to do with music was having to do with Srimad Bhagavatam. So yeah, I want you to notice that there's a lot of success there, and it impacted me in so many ways I can't even go into here that I didn't even mention that you know a little bit about, but just impacted me to see it looks different from where I'm at Prabhupada's house, but it's just as powerful and beautiful. And it was gracious to be served for 3 days. She served me with the most amazing service of meals and hospitality and reading and sharing and discussion and learning. It was beautiful. So you're inspired, but yet I found so much inspiration in your hosting me for a few days. Not just, I didn't just stay with her, she hosted me here's what we're doing, here's what we're reading, here's where we're doing it. I need help with this. There's beautiful, organic, healthy, beautiful food and offerings of love with everything that you shared. So that's a big step to just recognize what we are doing already, but don't get stagnant. Yeah. Sometimes we need other devotees to show up in our lives to raise us up a notch or two. You're inspired. Thank you, Kim.
Yes, plus we. Krishna. So at one point in your talk, thank you so much for class, by the way. I am very inspired with this verse and your talk. You'd mentioned anxiety and how as soon as we come into some anxiety, was so quick our devotion is the first thing to go, right? Like whatever service we have, I don't have time. And I'm not remembering the verse right now, but there's a verse in the Bhagavad Gita, I think it's in the purport, it says that anxiety comes from attachment to the material body. And so
Yeah.
fear and anxiety comes from attachment to the material body. So
So if that wasn't there, we wouldn't have fear and anxiety, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have all this body identification.
So attachment, and when I think about the anxieties that come up for me is like attachment to I'm the doer. I got to do all these things. Like, who else is going to do it?
Yeah, you know, you can get it done. I know that feeling.
But for example, to give class, I get you as not being attached to being the doer. Like your presence, the way Krishna has you as a tool, right? And Krishna can use you and your temperament and your tendency to bring forth the truth for others to see as a mirror in you presenting it. And so the less attachment we have to, oh, I've got to do this, and spend 3 days preparing, because otherwise, if I don't do it,
You're not trusting that you're not trusting that Krishna will assign those things to somebody else, and he's like, well, she wants to do it all, so I'm gonna let her.
So I'm gonna put that down, and I have like an attached thing, but it's a little bit separate. My social media algorithms these days showed me a lot of Christian material, and I saw a young woman who was talking about original sin, and she's like, I don't agree with original sin, and she was just like going on this tangent about it. I'm like, what is original sin? And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, Maya, right? So sin is illusion to the extent that we are separating ourselves from ourselves, separating ourselves from each other, and an illusionment and disillusionment from our relationship with God is sinful. So I was thinking about that, and then I was like, the original sin is the apple, right? So the apple, because we wanted to have control, we wanted to have the knowledge, we wanted to have the choice, we wanted to know everything, so that way we could be little mini Ishvaras, little mini gods.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, I just was like, yeah, this is what Vedas talk about, is we're here because we wanted, instead of put the one in front of the zeros, we wanted to see what we could do.
Yeah, it's not explained that way necessarily in other faiths in the Bible, like Kim was saying, like it's not, where's the structure? Come to Sunday school for an hour on Sundays, and how's that gonna support me for the other 6.5 days? We ask for, you ask for, whatever we ask for, we get, right? So Kim was saying, well, I didn't know how are we supposed to get that? And then Christian goes, oh, here's thousands of volumes. And you're going to be part of reading them. And now plop in her lap, she has the volumes, and she's been reading since she was a teenager or 20. And so we asked for, and you're asking about original sin. And so something comes up that there's not a whole lot of information. There's some speculation. And then we read Bhagavatam, and there's details about what that is, sin and Maya and illusion.
I know my experience in Christianity, at least as a youth growing up with not a lot of guidance or support, I was like, so some dude took a bite of an apple and it's my problem, right? Like, what's up with that?
Well, it goes the other way because they didn't take the apple, and we're here today. So, like, they stood up for God and said, I'm leaving everything behind and I'm gonna go out and make sure the world knows this in the future. And then somebody wrote it down and fixed it so they knew what we were gonna be going through in Kali Yuga. So like it's the whole opposite of this is what it could look like, but instead it's easier just to take just a big old heavy piece of sin and just carry the burden, right? Because somebody did something we don't even know why or really understand if it's real. I don't, to me, those are like, that's what makes it this bhakti so attractive. It's, there's just too many volumes of details and not just one little succinct guilt trip or whatever it is. What
A true philosophical basis
yeah.
and a philosophical basis, as I've often said, this is has so much attracted me to this process.
Yeah.
It's a science of self-realization, a process of Krishna consciousness where this process for realizing who we are as not the body, as spirit, soul, and to develop love for the supreme soul, love for God. That's not just I believe, I don't believe, or if it's said like, I can meditate for 15 minutes or go to church on Sunday. Like it's a process that we get to engage in up to 24 hours per day, and it's not all or nothing. With the encouragement, as you nicely highlighted here in this verse, Krishna says, "Nehabri karmanashoste pachavayana vichite svapamapyasya dharmasya traite madhubhayat." That whatever if we do 1% of 1%, that's our eternal benefit, and for our happiness, our bliss, we're encouraged give 100%, and we get to be engaged in the process of kirtan, the 9 limbs of bhakti, kirtanya sadari, up to 24 hours per day, and that's the encouragement, and so as far as like the actual process to develop love for God and the philosophy that's most extensively delineated and developed in this line of bhakti, and someone can say, no, here's a place where there's more nuance and more subtlety and more detail in the principles and the practice. I'm ready to see it, but till now, this is what I found. Now, someone could be connected with bhakti in a line where there's not as much philosophical exposition and subtlety of the process, and they could be way more advanced and
Just
pure
naturally from their past life or whatever.
and I've seen that
Yeah,
practicing those who identify as Christians or Muslims or Buddhist, and they're such pure heart like that. Still, still the process is most extensively delineated and defined in detail in this line of through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with the 6 Goswamis and like that. Hare Krishna.
And I'll just say one last thing. So I've experienced that, right? So where as a youth, I didn't have support, and I felt like that resentment and the confusion and the whatever about that situation for Adam and Eve. Now I'm hearing this person speak from the same place that I was at, and I have compassion because I understand I'm under illusion and I have accepted responsibility, and I don't feel those things anymore. And it's only from Bhakti's made me a better Christian than I ever was.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
I'm thinking about this group that came to Prabhupada's house that were science, what's it called? Science, not Scientology, but there's another one that's
Christian Science.
Christian Science.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was 15 people and they're all really heavy duty Christian Science believers and preachers, and they stayed there for a few days. They were amazing. They had devotional meetings, they did prayers, they were loving and kind, supportive. They praised me and Prabhupada's house constantly. They left everything immaculately clean. They agreed to eat a vegetarian diet, even though none of them were vegetarian. They read and they were giving me scripture. and they were leaving booklets all over the house. They left a stack of things when they left. And even though they know I'm settled in what I'm doing, they were saying, can we talk to you while you're cooking? Because normally I need to focus. I said, if it's about God, you can, but I can't have just random conversation here. So she was reading me from their literature. So, and to me, that it felt like they would be great friends if they lived in the neighborhood. They came from far away, from Mississippi or Alabama or somewhere. But it's just, it does happen when I see something like that, or the lady from the luncheon the other day. We didn't talk about anything else but relationships with God and how present he is. We use some different names and forms of speaking about it, but yeah, I've witnessed it too. But I think for the most part, like Kim was saying, and like you're referring to, is like this. We have so many books and so many teachers and so much philosophy. It's just all the questions can be answered, and it's rich with instructions on all the options that we have to develop our relationship with God, not just like you're feeling, and I felt too, just have it because you go to this church or your parents say to. Just have that naturally. You're supposed to love God, so figure it out. There's no pictures of them in the house, and there's really an old dusty Bible, but figure it out. It's like I don't know what's going on here, but it didn't feel very aligned with anything I want to jump into or get excited about, or you know, cook for or teach about or join some more classes or set up some events about that. There's no body to it. Yeah.
There's no relationship.
Yeah, no relationship. Well, there's no relationship in most households. There's a lot of people doing, but the relationship is not there. So it's why how are we going to have a relationship with God if we don't have one with ourselves and the rest of the people in the house? But this family that I was just referring to, it was so rich to observe beautiful family life. When I get to see it, I really have some envy come up because it's just everybody just gentle and expressing themselves and lovingly, having conversations and constantly citing scripture and bringing another book out and another pamphlet and asking me if I want to join the conversation. Like, it's just like, this really happens in the world. Yeah. Really beautiful. So yeah, it happens. I don't see it as much as I'd like to, but it does happen. Anybody else want to share anything before we close up? Anandini?
Hare Krishna, Laksmipriya.
Hi, Krishna.
I'm just sharing my appreciation, and I feel inspired whenever you speak about Prabhupada House and what you're creating there. I feel very inspired and enlivened, and I start to envision what we could do here. And I especially liked, the verse is perfect for me to hear. To pray for the power to execute Bhakti Yoga. Like, I can go, oh, I don't have the energy and I don't know how, or and to pray. And you said something like, in purposeful action, the connections just happen. So I don't need to have all the details figured out. I can just go for it and trust.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, it's important to also, the body, yeah, it's just full of stool and urine. And at the same time, the body is the vehicle we have. So it also needs, care. So
The purpose to care for it is so we can use it and be an instrument. Because a lethargic, tired, unhealthy, unkept body won't have the capacity to maximize the service potential in any way effectively. But it's tempting a lot of times. Everybody's tired because they're working so much.
Yeah, and still the perspective, we can also think the body is more important than it actually is, and just take care of that and polish it. And
yeah, there's so many things we can do to the body these days. It's so bizarre. We can lengthen our eyelashes. We can tattoo on our eyebrows. We can poke multiple holes in our ears. We can paint our nails and shape them in all different fun shapes. We can remove body parts and put others in. We can plump some things up and thin some others down. We can they're now putting fake freckles on people because that's cute, a trend. Painting them on, permanent ink. It's funny.
Yeah, but like both are true, and both have their place in our process and thought process. That okay, the body, it's blood and stool and pus, and that's a helpful conception to help us not be attached. And the body, it's an amazing, beautiful machine. It's more amazing and sophisticated than this computer or like that. So that's sometimes
It
helpful
is,
too.
yeah, even
Yeah,
more than the
but
computer.
yes, yeah, like that Krishna through his energies created this body, which is so much more amazing than any machine man has created. So, and sometimes that's helpful too. Oh yeah, let me use this machine for its creator.
You're
So,
not
but
taking advantage of it,
yeah.
nor that there's so much potential in this machine that we have. Yeah. There's so many things we can do. So how do we get inspired to do those things? Observing that maybe I'm not using my full potential, but yeah, it's that subtle thing. Like I don't want to like the constant question of is it best if I finish the entire Srimad Bhagavatam this year, or should I go take some occasional walks and swim a little more so that I'm strong and I can read the Bhagavatam by the end of the year? Like what, like, so there's always the question of where to focus the, because there's a temptation to kind of just let the body just do what it does because we don't need it anyway and better get out of here fast and get on the right train. And so it's, we can neglect it. And then there's the, no, but I need this body because Krishna gave me all these skills to use. And he's placed me in a really responsible arena of activity in order to do my performance there A plus. There's things that need to happen so that I'm positive and I have vitality and I'm vibrating on a level that's attractive to the guests that come. And so knowing what that equation is and constantly, monitoring it so that I'm not in illusion of what I think it is and really it's about me. It's complicated, I guess, but listening, I think that you're talking about praying, just checking in and praying and seeing and asking and then trusting, like the card that was in the Bhagavad Gita with Sringadev and Prahlad Maharaj, and then it just, and the podcast just popped up with the Ramayana. It's like, well, I didn't do that. I didn't do either of those things. I just am able to see the guidance, even though it's not a physical person here with a printed out list, to-do list with little boxes next to it of don't do this and do that.
So I was just gonna say, I don't have a lot of experience, but so far in the times that I have been in anxiety about this, I'm gonna go do this materialistic thing, for whatever reason. But like I'm going. For example, I went to Switzerland. I stayed at a temple there for a couple of days and then went on a sojourn. And I was like, oh, what am I doing? I'm going to go see a monument. I'm going to go stay in an Airbnb and all this kind of stuff. And I was so worried I'd remove myself from the temple and why. And yet, wherever I went, because I carry the passion and the joy in me, Bhakti found me. Like, I didn't even have to try. People were talking to me about devotion. I got to have conversation, philosophical discussion about what is the quality of life and quality of experience. So I hear you about the anxiety, and then my counter to that is you carry it with you.
You are the sacred place, right? Like it says that in Bhagavatam a lot of times, like we become the place of pilgrimage. Our bodies do, those bodies up there and these bodies here. Like you don't have to go to India, you don't have to go to the temple, but maybe that enlivens you and that's part of your service. But you carry this knowledge around, these books around, and this feeds around, and you vibrate and you entertain those conversations in the steam room or in Switzerland because they're constant if we're open to them. But no, there's some question. Okay, all right. It's 9:32. Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you, everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Yay.
Thank you, Sylvan Hill,
Prabhupada ki jai.
Anandini, and Aditya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Saraswati